First on Fox 17 News at 11, tragedy in Lee Township after a family is found dead in an apparent murder-suicide. What investigators know so far.
Well, we were stuck in the clouds, and that made it the coldest day of the new year. Temperatures stuck only at 32 degrees here in Grand Rapids. We'll break down warmer air on the horizon and finally some sunshine to start the work week.
Congratulations. You are now members of the 118th Congress.
And Congress celebrating their chance to finally get to work after 4 days of deadlock in the vote for House Speaker. How McCarthy swung the votes in his favor after some tense moments on the House floor.
From the station with the most local news, Fox 17 News at 11 starts right now.
Deputies in Allegan County this evening investigating after a family of 4 is killed in an apparent murder-suicide. Our Matt Whitkos was on the scene. Matt, what can you tell us about the incident?
Well, Jamie, the Allegan County Sheriff's Office say they were sent to the home in Lee Township around 12:30 this afternoon. That's when they discovered Cindy Klaus, Roger Hager, and their 2 children dead inside. Deputies say they were called to the scene by a man who went to the home to check on his family. When no one answered the door, he looked through the windows and saw his niece unresponsive on the bedroom floor. Initial investigators appeared to indicate that 34-year-old Hager shot the family before turning the gun on himself. A neighbor tells us they heard the sound of multiple gunshots coming from the home around 12:30. The sheriff's office says that 2 adults and their 10 and 13-year-old children were all found dead from apparent gunshot wounds, though they say the official manner of death has yet to be determined. This investigation is ongoing, and anyone with information should call the Allegan County Sheriff's Office or Silent Observer. In the newsroom, I'm Matt Whitkos, Fox 17 News.
Well, unfortunately, the streak of cloudy skies here in the Grand Rapids area and most of West Michigan had continued today. An area down near Kalamazoo and southwest of the I-94 US 131 interchange was really the only spot that saw some sunshine earlier today, about 2 to 4 o'clock, and then the clouds filled back in, and everywhere was stuck in overcast skies through the evening hours. And that is where we remain currently. You can see on satellite and radar, thankfully no precipitation, and we haven't seen any all day today, but the cloud cover has stuck around, and it looks like tomorrow's going to be another relatively gloomy day, but Monday should bring us a little bit more sunshine. Right now, downtown Grand Rapids, fairly quiet. World of winter, a very nice day for that. Temperatures stayed at freezing through most of the afternoon. We do sit now at 30 degrees with those cloudy skies. Dew points starting to get drier and drier, at least at the surface level, but a little bit more moisture in the mid-levels keeps the clouds around, and visibility has finally returned to normal after a relatively foggy week. 27 in Ludington, Big Rapids, upper 20s, kind of up towards north of 96, but 33 Muskegon, 30 Ionia, Grand Rapids, 30 Kalamazoo. Some more 20s starting to settle in areas inland, but you go along the lakeshore, those temperatures still sit in the low 30s. As we do see cloud cover tonight, but we do have a light wind, should allow for some areas to see some significant cooling. That means down to the low to mid 20s here. We will warm up nicely in the afternoon as we do see a southwesterly wind build back in. It will remain light, but with mostly cloudy skies, temperatures will be in the mid to upper 30s. And then we should be even warmer Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We stay very mild here through the middle of next week with only one very light rain chance before a bigger system moves in at the end of next work week.
Thank you, Reese. Albion College issued a statement today after the coach of the men's basketball team was noticeably absent from several games. A spokesperson with the college tells Fox 17 Jody May was removed after an issue at a practice session. They say the coach disciplined a student athlete for using a racial slur. Later, when players asked what had happened, the coach repeated what that student had said. He has since apologized to the team, sitting out several games and also undergoing sensitivity training. That spokesperson also said they respect the decision of the student athletes who decided to sit out today's game, as they hope to have an ongoing dialogue with the players. The Cass County Sheriff's Office giving an update after a body was found in a field in LaGrange Township on Thursday. That individual identified today as 65-year-old Bonnie Lou Holtz of Porter Township. She was found in the area of Beeson Street and M62 Highway. Investigators have not yet released a cause of death as they continue to investigate. Anyone with information on the case can call the Cass County Sheriff's Office or leave an anonymous tip through their website. The Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety investigating a shooting this afternoon on the city's south side. Now, details are limited at this point, but they say an individual was shot on Vernon Street near Reed Avenue around 4 p.m. They identified the victim as a 38-year-old Kalamazoo resident and say they were taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The investigation is ongoing, but if you have any information, be sure to contact the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety or Silent Observer. And in Grand Rapids, police are investigating an incident where they say a man allegedly shot himself in the leg. They were called out around 1:45 on Willard Avenue near Burton Street after hearing reports of a man shooting a gun in the air. Police confirmed the firearm involved was a rifle. Now, while officers were en route, a 25-year-old man allegedly shot himself in the thigh. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still investigating, so if you know anything, be sure to contact GRPD or Silent Observer. Well, after the break, the unthinkable happening at a school in Virginia when a first-grade student turns a gun on a teacher.
I saw a lot of tears today. And I'm not just talking about in students' eyes.
What investigators know about the altercation that took place before the 6-year-old pulled the trigger.
You know, the students here are family to us. They're our customers, they're our friends, and it was such a tragic, horrible thing that happened that it affected us all very deeply.
Community reactions pouring in after more details were released in the murder of 4 Idaho students. Today, more items were moved from the home as investigators collect evidence against the suspect, 28-year-old Brian Kohlberger. Those investigators have already laid out a wealth of evidence against him, including a DNA match they say they got from the bedroom of 2 of the victims, matched to DNA gathered from the trash outside of the Kohlberger's home in Pennsylvania. They say they also have surveillance footage that puts his car in the area of the home at the time of the killings. His cell phone, which they believe was turned off at the time of the killings, was also pinged in the area of the home 12 times in the weeks and even months before the attack. Investigators say that could well be a sign that he was stalking at least one of the victims and planned the killings in great detail. Brian Kohlberger will be back in court on Thursday for a status hearing. Investigators looking into a school shooting Friday in Virginia that put a teacher in the hospital. They say the shooter was a student at the school, just 6 years old. Lucas Tomlinson has that story.
It's a school shooting scenario that seems almost unthinkable. Police in Newport News, Virginia say a 6-year-old student shot their teacher Friday during an altercation inside their first-grade classroom.
As you can imagine, this is a hard situation. It's a hard situation for families. I saw a lot of tears today. And I'm not just talking about in students' eyes.
The teacher, a woman in her 30s, was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. Police say the shooting was not an accident. Investigators are working to determine how a first grader was able to get their hands on a gun.
There's some questions we'll want to ask and find out about. I want to know where that firearm came from. What was the situation?
Where did this child get this? We have to do something about this gun violence. It is taking over now. It's taking over our baby.
It's unclear what will happen to the student. Virginia law limits what kind of punishment a child that young can face. But some parents say the problem lies elsewhere.
Let's do something. We've got a new governor now. Let's do something. Let's change it. You've got a beautiful country. You've got beautiful people. But what's the problem? Guns.
It's a dark day for Newport News. We're going to learn from this, and we're going to come back stronger.
The superintendent says the school will be closed Monday while authorities continue their investigation. Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
After 4 days of fighting in the chamber, the United States finally has a new House Speaker.
It's time for us to be a check and provide some balance to the president's policies.
How Kevin McCarthy ended the stalemate and swore in the 118th Congress.
Well, the unfortunate streak with the lack of sunshine has continued into today, and it will into the second half of the weekend as well. But there is hope for some sunshine on Monday. We'll have the full 7-day forecast after the break.
That was easy, huh? I never thought we'd get up here. My friends, this chamber is now fully open for all Americans to visit.
After 4 days and 15 rounds of voting, Congressman Kevin McCarthy has secured enough Republican support to become House Speaker. The bitter debates before his election fueled by 20 hardline conservative holdouts, some vowing not to vote for McCarthy under any circumstances. McCarthy spent the past 4 days working to grant concessions to those holdouts, hoping to sway their votes in his favor. In the end, he received 216 votes for his bid, with 6 Republicans voting present. With the new speaker chosen, the House can now kick off the new Congress and proceed with the rest of its business. The 4-day delay led to some tense moments on the House floor, including when one congressman had to be held back after lunging at Representative Matt Gaetz. You can see Representative Mike Rogers in the peach tie there, pointing fingers and moving towards Gaetz when another Republican lawmaker grabs him and puts a hand over his mouth. Now, moments before, Gaetz had denied McCarthy the final yes vote he would have needed to pass in the 14th round of voting. McCarthy, looking on the bright side, said the anger against Gaetz' decision to force a 15th vote actually helped unify the party.
Matt really wanted to get everybody there. And so look, through all of this, people's emotions go up and down. And at the end of the night, Matt got everybody there from the point that nobody voted against the other way. So it actually helped unite people.
Moments after the confrontation, Gaetz and the 5 other holdouts changed course, allowing McCarthy to win on the 15th ballot. Meanwhile, House Democrats alarmed about the long-term effects of the party division. Senator Chuck Schumer raising concerns that McCarthy's concessions to the holdouts could grant power to extremists within the Republican Party. Meanwhile, the end to the stalemate means the newly elected members of Congress were finally able to be sworn in. That's including Michigan's own Hillary Scholten. She took the oath earlier this morning, making history as the first woman to serve Michigan's 3rd congressional district. After finally getting the chance to take the oath, she said, "I am full of hope and optimism today, and more than anything, I'm ready to do the hard work to address the challenges facing families across West Michigan, because the issues that matter to them matter to me and my family too." Well, tourists and residents on Hawaii's Big Island overnight driving straight towards a volcanic eruption, all for the chance to take a selfie. But the good news is officials say the eruption, which began on Thursday, is about as safe as a volcanic eruption can get. The Hawaii County mayor even saying that if they had to choose a spot to erupt, that would be the one. The Kilauea volcano is located in a closed area of the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Visitors were able to observe the lava's glow from a reasonable distance. Anything for a selfie, right, Reese? Especially, I mean, I guess it was safe, so might as well.
Yeah, if the governor and the officials say it's safe, then yeah, maybe I would consider that. But even myself, as somebody who's just very interested in weather, I would take a step back from that. But nonetheless, a very gloomy day here in West Michigan. Once again, that's 7 days in a row, totaling only 5 minutes of sunshine all week long. And it looks like the next week we do have more opportunities to see some sun, although it won't start tomorrow. Thankfully, we have no precipitation on our live radar right now. It's going to remain very quiet this way, really, for at least the next 72 hours. Next rain chance will be very, very light on Tuesday, but if not, more widespread chances will be around Thursday and into Friday. You can see the cloud cover all over the lower peninsula, even into half of the upper peninsula as well. You got to go up to Marquette or to the west side of Wisconsin or northern Illinois to see some peaks of clear skies this evening, and it's going to remain that way again for tomorrow. We may see a few break in the clouds early tomorrow morning, but that will be quite minimal. We'll see mostly cloudy skies throughout the day. Monday will be that next opportunity for a little bit of sunshine, especially south of I-96. On Tuesday, we're going to see a weak cold front move through. That will bring some minimal precipitation chances. I do suspect most of us will remain dry, but there will be, again, a very light chance of maybe 1/100 of an inch, like very, very light rain with that one. Otherwise, rain and snow possible next Thursday into Friday, so we could see a bigger system move in, but that one overall still looks fairly uneventful. Here's a look at temperatures right now, starting to fall back in the 20s. Battle Creek, Fremont, Big Rapids, still holding on to near freezing along the lakeshore A little favorable wind there out of the east to northeast at 5 miles per hour. Everywhere inland, anywhere between calm and about 5 miles per hour. We are going to see a very light wind tomorrow, which is nice. And you can see that the future track kind of underdoes the cloud cover. That's how it had been for the last 36 hours. And again, we missed it today, quite honestly, with expecting those clouds to break up. The temperatures and the inversions just didn't line up as we were expecting to. But tomorrow we will be in those mostly cloudy skies. Heading into Monday, though, you can see the clouds start to break up just a touch Sunday night. And then once those clouds kind of come off the lakeshore, you can see the break there, and headed in throughout the day, we should see some decent sunshine. Here's a look at high temperatures for Sunday. 36 degrees Grand Rapids, 37 down near Kalamazoo. Going to be a fairly comfortable day for us here. Again, temperatures about 5 degrees above average now as we get into the middle of January. Looking at winds for tomorrow, going to remain calm to anywhere upwards of 5 miles per hour throughout the day out of the west. So a very, very quiet day for us here. Monday, winds will be a little on the stronger side, especially once that sun gets in to mix the atmosphere a little more, but it should help push those temperatures a touch warmer. We're nearing 40 degrees Wednesday and Thursday. We are tracking that system. Looks like this weak cold front on Tuesday will again remain very light for those rain chances, but we'll put it there maybe at a 10 to 20% chance of precipitation. The big thing to note is any cold front or system that moves through, it does cool us down by the time we get to next weekend, but those temperatures you can see on that map trending still above average, as our average high right now is 32 to 31 degrees across West Michigan. Very mild stretch through the middle of January.
Thank you, Reese. Well, if you didn't get a chance to buy a Mega Millions ticket, don't worry, you still have a shot at becoming a mega millionaire. The jackpot today climbing to $1.1 billion after no one matched all 6 numbers in Friday night's drawing. Now, this marks the second time in 6 months where the Mega Millions jackpot surpassed $1 billion. You might remember back in July, 2 people won $1.34 billion from the Mega Millions. Both of them came forward and split the prize, according to the Illinois Lottery. Meantime, the $1.1 billion is now the 3rd largest Mega Millions prize in U.S. history. The next Mega Millions drawing will happen Tuesday night. And here's a look at last night's Mega Millions numbers. They were 3, 20, 46, 59, 63, and Mega Ball 13. The war in Ukraine rages on as families in Kyiv celebrate Orthodox Christmas. How Russia is going back on a ceasefire they ordered in observance of the holiday. President Biden will travel to El Paso, Texas tomorrow ahead of the North American Leaders Summit in Mexico City as border security becomes an increasing issue in the southern states.
If the most extreme Republicans continue to demagogue this issue and reject solutions, I'm left with only one choice: to act on my own, do as much as I can on my own to try to change the atmosphere.
The trip will be Biden's first to the border since he took office. While there, the White House says the president will assess border enforcement operations and meet with local officials and community leaders. Earlier this week, he outlined his plan to crack down on migrants crossing the border illegally. This new plan will attempt to block migrants from Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Haiti from crossing the border without proper documentation, something they will have to apply for before making the trip. Up to 30,000 people per month from those 4 countries will be given a chance to come to the U.S. legally for 2 years. Ukraine taking more steps to sever its cultural ties with Russia as the fighting there continues despite a Russian pledge of a ceasefire agreement. Alex Hogan has the latest from Kyiv.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky praising the U.S. military aid package of more than $3.5 billion, which includes Bradley fighting vehicles, which he says is exactly what his armed forces needed. Germany and France this week also pledging to send armored vehicles. In addition, Germany will follow the U.S. in sending a Patriot missile defense system. But for now, the fighting continues, despite Russia declaring a ceasefire for Christian Orthodox Christmas. And new video from Donetsk in the east of attacks on civilian infrastructure. Elderly residents managed to save little of their life's belongings after abandoning their destroyed homes on Christmas Eve. Christmas morning today in the capital, crowds gathered at a historic holiday service at one of Ukraine's holiest sites, led for the first time in Ukrainian and not Russian, as the church severs ties with Moscow.
This is our shrine, and we should hear prayers here only in our native language, not in the language of the aggressor. I'm very happy that I lived till such a day.
Let's hope it's forever. God sent us such faith, and we will try to glorify Him as best we can.
In Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin attended a Christmas service alone, praising the Russian Orthodox Church for supporting Russian forces fighting here in Ukraine. As far as the new U.S. aid, Ukrainian officials tell me they expect the Bradley fighting vehicles to get here within a matter of weeks. In Kyiv, Ukraine, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
And in Iran, 2 men were executed today, convicted of allegedly killing a paramilitary volunteer during a demonstration. The latest executions aimed at halting the nationwide protests, now challenging the country's theocracy. Iran has now executed 4 men since the protests began 4 months ago. State TV showed confessions read by the men sentenced to death. However, activists say they have record of coerced confessions run on the same channel. They also say these defendants often will not get the chance to choose their own lawyer or see the evidence against them. Human rights activists in Iran say that more than 500 protesters have been killed and over 19,000 people arrested since the protests began in September, when 22-year-old Mahsa Amini died in police custody, arrested for allegedly improperly wearing a headscarf. We'll have a final check of that forecast after the break. We are nearing the end of the regular football season, and the Lions have one more game and a chance to keep their playoff dreams alive. It's been an exciting season for the many Lions fans who've watched their team come back from a rough start. And as Jetty Johnson tells us, one man on the east side of the state made sure his neighbors knew about every single one of them. And he's hoping to do so again this Sunday.
I hooked them up to my air compressor, and man, they'll wake up the neighborhood.
This is the sound of victory.
Everybody knows when the Lions win, especially within several blocks.
It's a tradition Steve Gayton has kept up for years with his dad.
We would go there, and they always had horns blowing all the time and everything. And of course, I have tugboat horns. So I decided, hey, why not keep the tradition alive right here at home?
So for the past 11 years, Steve has grabbed his horn, his earplugs,
You got the key factor here.
and his air compressor as he prepared to let the entire neighborhood know that the Lions did indeed just win a game.
It's so loud that you go to the gas station and people on there are talking about it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's my husband.
The sound of Steve's horn can be heard for miles, but neighbors say they look forward to it.
Yeah, because they're usually losing all the time and they're actually doing good, yes.
His horn blowing tradition has even got him some recognition on his St. Clair Shores Facebook page.
And I was kind of proud, like, see, we're working as a team and people are getting excited about the Lions winning.
During this current football season, Steve says his neighbors have gotten more riled up and excited about their home team.
I think the horns are definitely part of the camaraderie around here in the neighborhood of the Lions games. I know the kids love it.
And those kids and the rest of his neighbors are hoping that Steve will blow that horn once again this Sunday.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to give it a couple extra salutes.
That is quite, it sounds like a train.
Yeah, that was an excessive horn, but I do support it because as a Lions fan,
Yeah.
I'm definitely rooting for them tomorrow.
Of course. Hopefully
Big game
we can
for us. Hopefully we can
blow
pull
the
one
horn
out.
tomorrow.
Yeah. At the very least, knock the Packers out of the playoffs. If not, maybe we can sneak in there as well.
All right.
Unfortunately, no sunshine paired with that. We will be in the clouds tomorrow. Mostly cloudy, a high of 36 degrees. Monday, though, looks like we could be seeing a little bit more sunshine coming back as temperatures keep warming into the middle of the week, something we normally don't see. Here in the middle of January is a lot of upper 30s and even some 40s. Looks like Thursday will be our next best chance for widespread rain, transitioning over to a little bit of wintry mix or snow on Friday. Tuesday's rain chance of a sprinkle that is very light and very isolated. Might even be able to take that off of the forecast, but nonetheless, just there briefly. And we do see the sunshine with cooler temps by the time we get to next weekend. Keep in mind, this January, it has been the cloudiest since 2006 to start the year, and it's also our third warmest average temperature for the first 7 days as well. 36.5 degrees.
Wow, we need a horn in here for every time we have a sunny day. That's what we need to do.
We wouldn't use it very often, unfortunately.
Oh, man. All right. Thank you, Reese. And thanks for joining us for Fox 17 News at 11. Have a great night.